The call. Don't come home. The words were quiet, too quiet, the kind of quiet that sounds rehearsed. I held my phone tighter, thinking I had misheard. What? My mother exhaled slowly before repeating it. Your sister doesn't want you here right now. Not we don't want you. Not there's a problem. Just one clear adjustment to reality. My presence was no longer welcome. At home, I asked, still trying to process it. Yes. There was a pause. Then she added the sentence that stayed with me for years. It's better if you give her space. Space. That word sounds reasonable until you realize it's being used to move you out of your own life. I was standing outside my apartment at the time, keys still in my hand, halfway through planning a weekend visit. I hadn't been home in nearly 2 months because of work. Nothing unusual had happened. No arguments. No tension. At least, not that I knew about. What happened? I asked calmly. My mother hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. When explanations delay, narratives usually arrive first. She's upset, my mom said. About what? Another pause. Then, she feels like you're always trying to outshine her. I blinked. Outshine? The word didn't match any memory I had. I hadn't competed with my sister. If anything, I had spent years doing the opposite, downplaying my progress, avoiding comparisons, skipping conversations that might sound like updates. But perception doesn't need evidence. It just needs emotion. I don't understand. I said quietly. You don't need to, my mother replied. Just give it time. Time. Another polite word. Another soft way of saying, step back. When should I come home? I asked. We'll let you know. That was the moment everything shifted. Not dramatically, not emotionally, just internally, because we'll let you know doesn't describe a visit. It describes permission. And suddenly, home didn't feel like home anymore. I didn't argue, didn't defend myself, didn't ask to talk to my sister, because something in my mother's tone made it clear the decision had already been made. This wasn't a conversation. It was an adjustment. Okay, I said, not because I agreed, because resistance wouldn't change anything. We ended the call politely, calmly, almost normally. But when the line went silent, I stood there for a long moment, realizing something I hadn't expected. No one had asked for my side. No one had asked what actually happened. The situation had already been organized around emotion. And logic rarely interrupts that. That weekend, I didn't go home. The next weekend, I didn't either. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into routine. And eventually, the silence settled into something permanent. Occasionally, I would see family photos posted online, birthdays, dinners, holidays. My sister smiling, my parents beside her, everything looking complete. Except for one missing detail. Me. At first, it hurt. Not sharply, but steadily, like background noise that never fully disappears. But over time, something unexpected happened. The distance gave me clarity. Without constant comparison, I focused more deeply on my own direction. Work became structured. Goals became intentional. Progress became quieter, but stronger. I stopped waiting for the, you can come home, now message, because I realized something important. If your presence depends on someone else's comfort, then your absence eventually builds your independence. Years passed, not with drama, with growth, career changes, new cities, new routines, new stability, and somewhere along the way, the emotional weight of that phone call faded into perspective. Not forgotten, understood. Then one evening, years later, I sat at my kitchen table reviewing a different kind of document. Not a lease, not a contract, a wedding plan. My wedding. Guest list open. Names carefully placed. Family section at the top. For a moment, My cursor blinked beside my parents' names, then beside my sister's. The same sister who once needed space. The same sister whose discomfort had quietly removed me from my own home. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel resentment. I felt clarity, because time doesn't just change circumstances. It reveals patterns. And weddings don't just celebrate relationships. They redefine them. I leaned back in my chair and looked at the list again. Years ago, I was told not to come home. Now, the decision was mine. And this time, I wasn't going to leave it unfinished. The distance that built direction. When you're quietly removed from a place, the first instinct is to wait for an invitation back. I did that for a while. At first, every holiday felt temporary, like the silence would break with a simple message, "Things are better now. Come visit." But that message never came. And eventually, waiting started to feel heavier than moving forward. So I stopped waiting. I moved cities for a new role that demanded more responsibility and offered more growth. The work wasn't glamorous, but it was structured. Clear goals, clear outcomes, clear accountability, something I hadn't realized I needed after years of emotional ambiguity. Without the background noise of comparison, my focus sharpened. I worked longer when necessary, learned faster than expected, and built stability step by step. Promotions came quietly, savings grew steadily, confidence returned naturally, not the loud kind, the grounded kind. Meanwhile, contact with my family stayed minimal. Occasional birthday texts, short holiday messages, polite, careful, surface-level conversations. No one mentioned the past. No one revisited the phone call. And I didn't bring it up either. Because some situations don't need confrontation, they need contrast. Over time, I realized something important. Distance doesn't always break relationships. Sometimes it reveals which ones were built on comfort instead of understanding. By the fourth year, my life looked completely different. New routines, strong friendships, a relationship built on mutual respect, not comparison. The person I was becoming didn't feel like someone waiting outside a closed door anymore. I was building my own. Then, one evening, sitting across from the person who would later become my partner, the conversation turned toward the future, toward commitment, toward marriage. And suddenly, a question I hadn't faced in years returned quietly. When the wedding day comes, who truly belongs in the front row? Not by history, by presence. The front row. On my wedding day, I didn't remove anyone. I simply arranged the seats, honestly. Those who had stood beside me during the silent years sat closest. Those who had stepped back were still invited, but not centered. When my parents arrived, they noticed the difference. No confrontation, no explanation, just clarity. Later, my mother whispered, "We should have called you home." I smiled gently. "It's okay," I said. I learned how to build one. The lesson: time doesn't erase distance. It explains it. I didn't rebuild relationships through arguments, but through consistency. The people who stayed present became my foundation. The ones who stepped away saw quietly what absence costs. Home is not where you're allowed to return. Home is where you're valued enough to stay. Silence taught me who stood with me and who stepped back. Respect isn't rebuilt by words. It's rebuilt by presence, consistency, and time.